Welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood radio show for personal development with expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we work to be our best and live our best life. Offering for your consideration these success frameworks, behavioral models, and life lessons that if you should find value in them, that you subscribe and deploy all over your life, leadership, and business. Here on the Coach V Show, where iron sharpens iron, together we rise. Broadcast from Dash Radio Studios, Hollywood, California. Dash Radio's Hollywood Walk of Fame studio. Wow. And then powered by the Island City Media Group, where the beach meets the streets. Today, I am juiced to have with us in studio brother Will Truong, a first-generation Vietnamese-American TEDx speaker, actor, and storyteller. After receiving a football scholarship to West Point, Will experienced a life-changing accident that left him paralyzed. Through rigorous therapy to recondition his mind and his body, he miraculously made a full recovery and was deemed a walking miracle. Today, he continues to push his physical and mental boundaries through strength training, combat training, reading, and creative expression in film and writer. As an actor, as a storyteller, Will shares his inspiring story, lessons, and insights through keynote speeches and film. Will is currently writing a book detailing the lessons he's learned from the perspective of growing up without a dad. You can follow his journey and his brand on Instagram. Welcome to the Coach V Show, brother Will. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you so much.
Man, thanks for driving all the way down here to be in studio and just talk shop. Let's start from the beginning. Where were you born and where did you grow up? Introduce moms and dad.
Absolutely. So I was born in Vietnam in 1996.
Okay.
About 3 months, we moved to Southern California through Thailand.
Okay.
So I immigrated through Thailand that way. So we settled in the city of Westminster Garden Grove.
Okay.
So of course, if y'all don't know where that's at, in California, Westminster is known as Little Saigon, and it has the largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam. So being at that point, my parents, my father at that time he was unemployed when he came back home.
Yeah.
And my mom just comes up brand new to the country. She doesn't know English.
Yep.
She's no trade skills, no professional skills. She was a college graduate back in Vietnam, but that didn't really matter here, did it?
Mm-hmm.
So around 2-3 years old, my father he gets work as a trucker.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be in and out a lot for months on end. And the most consistent person that was there for me, and then my younger sister who was born 2 years after me, was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught us a lot of our culture, our values, and how to operate and live in a way of what is being honorable.
Mm-hmm.
So about the time I was 6-7 years old, my father decides to literally up and leave the family. And my mom actually sheltered us. She didn't tell us that he left. She would say that he left back to Vietnam to work and make money for the family.
Right.
So from 6-7 years old all the way through high school, I didn't realize that he wasn't part of our lives. My mom would speak very, very highly of him when he came up in conversation. But once again, the only consistent person in that point in my life was my mom. And what I knew for myself, being the only boy in the family, or the man of the house now, I just had to step up. So what could I have done with myself to help elevate my family situation? Because the moment my father left, we ended up moving to the other side of Westminster, where we lived in a garage.
Right.
And we slept on the floor. So from 6 to 12 years old, that was my life.
Right.
And we went to the park down the street, and that's when I learned that I can get a scholarship. And I watched basketball players. I watched basketball. I thought basketball was going to be that golden ticket for me out of the hood, because I was surrounded by all these the drugs and the gangsters, that they would literally come up to me and say, "Hey, what are you doing tonight? They're trying to recruit me."
Yeah.
I'm just like, my mama said, "I can't do this, guys. I gotta
Right.
go home,"
Right.
But in terms of my family and then the upbringing, the roots, that is to set the background. You know, my mom was a strong single woman a strong single mother who ended up having to work 3 jobs to support me and my younger sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Shout out mom. What's mom's name? Let's shout her out right now.
My mom is Jackie Nguyen.
Yeah.
And I love her with my heart. And we just had a conversation. Mother's Day was this past weekend.
Uh-huh.
And we just had a conversation. And she never told me this, but she told me with my fiance and my sister there. She's saying that I was a perfect kid growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't always feel that way, but to hear her say that to me, it really meant so much.
That's huge. So now writing a book.
Yes, sir.
I saw your TEDx. That was a great speech. Great job there. Great delivery. Great everything. Very professional. And I look forward to seeing more. And so where are you and what projects are you working on? I know there's a book coming, right? Talk about that.
Yes, sir. So back in 2020, you know, as much as all the pandemic came about, right, and it affected everybody, and it affected me in the way of having to reassess what I was going to do with my life.
Right.
So at that point, I was still finishing up my teaching credential at Cal State Long Beach.
Okay.
To become a full-fledged teacher, certified, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't making any money. Empowered by Will, the brand had just come up, and it just as quick as it came up, it went right back down.
Yeah, because everything stopped.
It stopped. And I had 4 speaking engagements lined up at that point, right after I gave the TEDx presentation.
Yeah.
Of course, they all fell through, unfortunately. And by way of that, I lost track of the brand.
Uh-huh.
So I had to actually dissolve the business.
Uh-huh.
And it, you know, at that point, it was very sad for me because I went up to I went to the tax guy, and he was just like, hey, put his hand on me. He said, it's okay. I'm like, no, like, to me, this meant everything to me. Like, I lifted this up to then continue to go out and educate at this medium, you know, to give talks and to inspire through oration, through words.
Yeah.
So I ended up finishing up my teacher credential, and just as that was going down, I literally came across contact with a videographer.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, Will, do you act? I was like, no, but what are you talking about, you know? And he's like, hey, I want you to audition for a role. And by way of auditioning, I got the role. And
Right.
when I got on set, I'm talking about lights, cameras,
Yeah,
everything. It blew
yeah.
my mind. I was like, oh, this is cool. And as I learned more about the craft and the art, it's storytelling.
Yeah.
So as a storyteller, I've learned that you can educate, you can inspire, you can do so many things through sharing your story, through literally being in a classroom, but also through me now, through film, through physical actions. How can we share this story to impact someone so profoundly?
Yeah.
So, and then in that way, I was like, okay, what can I do with myself right now, in addition to going out on podcasts and give speeches and share my story, but also share after the fact. Hence why I'm writing a book.
Yeah.
So this book is detailing the accounts of what helped mold my mindset. Albeit my mom was the pinnacle of who I am. But how do you become a young man without a dad? So I'm coming from the perspective of, I didn't have a dad. I have a father. Let's be real here. You know, we all have fathers.
Yeah, real talk.
But what is a dad? A dad not only provides for his family, but he also he loves, he cherishes, he cares, he provides that emotional support, in which something I never had. But I am thankful for that. I have such strong men in my life that I grew up with through coaching or through being coached by.
Yeah.
And seeing these values and qualities of what it's like to be honorable, I am taking that into account of writing this in the stories of the lessons that I've learned in that regard.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So where are you in the process? Outlining chapters? Are you starting to detail chapters? Write down, because most of the time, having wrote a book, just like, okay, what's the intro, the outro, what are the main points, and what are the supporting points for every one of those main points per chapters? Where are you on all that?
I am actually, I'm detailing the outline right now.
Yeah.
So it's just as we're all starting, it's okay, let's break it off into chunks.
Yep.
where I'm at. Boom. Okay, 0 to 6 years old, from 6 to 12, you know,
Yep.
and so on and so forth, and detailing which stories that apply in those particular times and how can they all cross over. So it's for me, it's like that's another creative art form,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like to really connect the dots.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
It's really insightful thus far, even for me to dig into myself to see the depth of my life. And
That's awesome.
it shows me more gratitude as well, you know, to reflect
talk.
and remind like where you come from, where you've been, and to propel you to where you're going to go.
That's very good. Can I offer one set of advice per writing your book?
Please.
So many people write everybody else's quotes in their book, right? Quotes that inspired you, stuff like that. I would really suggest and offer for your consideration that you take the quotes that you love from other people and make it into a will quote. Because that's what the Jack in the Box brands, that's what the United States Secret Service, that's what Farmers Insurance, they're like, you come in here and you don't coach off of somebody else's quote, right? Because I think anybody's quote is good. If it has value and it sparks empowerment for somebody to change and become a better person, great. But they said, but we chose you particularly because you say there's money in the transaction, but the wealth is in the relationships, right? So then now that's a Coach V quote. So it validates you because you're an author, that you're the authority of your subject matter, which is your book. But then it also validates that you could teach off of your own stuff. Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Stephen Covey, those are all giants that we stand on their shoulders. But it is specific to you, and then your audiences that are either Vietnamese, Asian Pacific Islander, they're going, man, you know, Will says,
I hear you.
right? And it
Yes.
validates, it takes you to a different level of authority and validation. What does that make you think anything? Does that, any value of that to you?
Absolutely. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
good.
yes. Just as you're saying, like, you know, we're all inspired by so many other people saying things, but how can we make that ours?
Yours.
Yes.
Specifically.
Exactly. Yes, mine particularly. Of course.
your quote. So take any quote. So what I did was I took 100 quotes that I loved and then made them very similar but distinctly different into my own quotes. And I got 120. Now it's like thousands,
I hear
right?
you.
That I've just translated into my own vernacular, my own verbiage. Because there's a Pomona talk, but an academic UC Davis talk that I have that when people read that, they're like, okay, that's real talk. Life is struggle. Struggle is life. Misery is optional. That sounds like Coach V. That's something he would say. We've heard him say that before.
Yes.
This is a Coach V quote, right? So it just adds value to what you're doing. Okay, so talk about how can people get a hold of you? Like your website, share your website, your podcast, share your social media handle, share all of that so that people can connect.
Absolutely. So I just brought Empowered by Will is getting right back up.
Good.
So I have my websites going down on empoweredbywill.com.
Okay.
If you want to get a hold of me and my team, you could definitely hit up the contact form there.
Okay.
Additionally, to continue to follow about the book, the updates of more inspirational messages,
Right.
you could definitely follow Empowered by Will at Empowered by Will on Instagram.
On IG, which I do. Yep.
So you're the man.
No, you the man. That's why you're here. We're featuring you. It's my show, but we're featuring you.
Thank you, sir.
And then so talk about this overcoming, and we got about a minute.
Yeah.
Overcoming being paralyzed and what that took. If you could paraphrase it and cut it down to a minute, but I think people need to hear about you being paralyzed and then making a full recovery being a miracle.
Yes, sir. So I would say you don't have to be paralyzed to know what it's like to be down. To know what you have no idea what's going to be ahead of you. To have people tell you you're not good enough. We've all been there. So it's at this point it's like, okay, what can you do with yourself despite outside factors impressing on you? What's within you that you can truly believe that you can tell yourself to propel you from this position to the next step and to the next step and the next
Paralyzed or not is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the theme my whole entire life. You know, not being believed in when I was trying to get the scholarship. Even when I did get the scholarship, not being believed in when I can even play the next level.
Right.
And then breaking my neck and not being believed in that I'm not going to pan out. And I'm grateful as it is, and I'm lucky that I'm not in the position, because there are actual physical limitations that people actually sever their spinal cord and are unable to come back.
Yeah.
But that wasn't me. But understand that it's within you to push to what you want to do. And for me, it was I gotta move again. This is for myself. This is for my future, my family. Like I can't have someone look after me. I can't do this. So with that same conviction, it's like, okay, wiggle your finger, lift your arm, lift your leg, wiggle your toes, do something right now that you're not gonna regret not doing the next minute. And it doesn't matter how tired you are, it doesn't matter what people say, it doesn't matter how you're feeling, because it's not about your feelings or emotions, it's about the act of doing it, the discipline. Are you doing it or not? You get it done with that same conviction. I know it's really intense, but that's what I told myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And having gone through the doubt and having to overcome so much and getting a TEDx talk, which catches, I'm a professional speaker. And shout out to Eddie Pham, who sent me your video. I'm like, man, who is this guy, right? So what would be your message to the world if you take all of this and paraphrased it in a paragraph? What would be your message to the world?
My message is, no matter what goals or dreams you have, as long as you believe in yourself and you take action with conviction, with pride, with courage, and the strength to continue to overcome these obstacles, you can do anything.
I love that. I love that. And we're going to end it on that. Thank you, Will, for taking the time to drive all the way down to Hollywood Walk of Fame and be here at Dash Radio Studios. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Coach. It's been an absolute
Continued
pleasure.
success. I know we're going to fellowship for a long time and have a good relationship. And good luck with the book. Hey, when you release the book, you got to come release it here on the Coach V Show.
Absolutely.
Come on, let's launch it right
You
here.
got it.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
And for everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in to the Coach V Show. Please subscribe on YouTube and also on the Island City Media Group YouTube. And follow us both, Island City Media Group and Coach V, on Facebook and Instagram. And for Empower by Will and your boy Coach V, it's just not for the sake of success that you tune into this show, but for the sake that you be your best. In doing so, you realize the best of your abilities and that everything and anything that you dream and work for can be achieved. This is how your boy Empowered by Will and your boy Coach V lives, all about faith and family, grateful for God's amazing grace. Until next Motivation Monday, we will see you later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.